In Norman Powell's return, the Toronto Raptors dropped yet another close one to the Portland Trailblazers. 122-117 is your final. The Raps record now 10 games under 500 at 18-28. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Raptors Night Cap. Randy Urban alongside the gang, Sherman Hamilton, Paul Jones, and Leo Rautins. Sherm, 41 points in the first, season high, 74 in the half, tied a season high, and then 10 in the third. What happened in that third quarter?
Well, you forgot to add a season low for any quarter in those 10 points. It was just a struggle. And you know, I look at that third quarter and I say there were some makeable shots that the Raptors missed. But when you miss those open shots, I think the load gets heavier. And you can't take anything away from Portland. Portland did a better job defensively, but I don't think they were that good defensively to shut the Raptors down to 10 points. And then the other side of it is, even though Portland didn't score the ball well in the third quarter, when they did score, they were physical power buckets. They were in the paint. They were grinded. And when you're not scoring and you're getting scored on like that occasionally, it takes more out of you. But you could just see Fred didn't have any real rhythm at that point of the game, just couldn't make any shots. And I think overall, that quarter determined this game. You think about it, they had 41 points in that first quarter. They had 43 points in the second half. So that third quarter did them in.
Jonesy, your take on the breakdown?
That was it. I mean, you know, Sherm talked about it, 4 for 22 in that quarter. And then, you know, the other part of that too is the old style, the old fashioned methodology to basketball is, I'm not scoring. Well, heck, you're not going to score either. And I'm going to make it really difficult for you. And there were points in the quarter when I felt the Raptors did that. But overall, I mean, Portland outscores them by 13 in the quarter, 23-10. 23 points is nothing to write home about. But as Sherm said, when you start missing shots, it becomes contagious. The ball gets heavy in your hands. Your decision-making starts to wane. Do I take this? Do I move it? All of those things factor in. I just thought it was a really, really tough quarter for the Raptors. And then with all that being said, they kept it at a 1-2 possession game the whole way. They were only down 6-7 points. The flip side, when you're not scoring and the game is that intense and you're grinding that hard, that 2-possession game, that 7-point lead, that's like a 12, 13, 14-point lead just because of the nature of the game. I really, really thought the third quarter was the swing point and the turning point in the game.
Leo, Jonesy mentioned, you know, they get it to 7, they get it to 4 in that fourth quarter late. Is this a mental hurdle at that point, or is this, you know, just trying to get back up the mountain? Are they tired? You know, what's going on here? Because recently they haven't been able to, you know, sort of get over that hump here in the last couple of games when they've made a run.
Well, you got to remember, you're playing against some good teams, right? And, you know, you're getting back into the game after a big fight. And like both of these guys said, that third quarter really put the Raptors behind the 8 ball. You got to find a way to, you know, you can give up an 8-point run, a 10-point run sometimes. You just got to find a way to nip these runs. And it just seems that it becomes a snowball. The runs get bigger and bigger, and it does the Raptors in, you know, every game. And they have to find a way to nip that, because then later on, remember, you're fighting back from that. You're fighting back from that. It weighs on you, putting a lot of pressure on your defense. And you had different players at different times struggle, you know, and then the Raptors, you know, finally got back into it. Now, if you think in the fourth quarter, they got to the free throw line, they shot well, but sometimes it just, you know, get away from some of the things that are working. And when you're getting to the line, keep going, keep attacking. But this was also a game, I thought, you know, people say, you know, you can play small, size matters. And size was an issue in this game. And I think that was a contributing factor to wearing the Raptors down.
Sure. Norm makes his return. Rodney Hood and Trent Jr. playing against their old team. What did you make of all that?
I thought Rodney Hood had a good first half. It was good to see him start out aggressively and you know, make shots and make plays and just kind of get a bit of his confidence in another uniform. So that was good to see. Gary Trent Jr., he struggled shooting the basketball. He got some good looks. I like the fact that he took shots. He wasn't backing down just because he was missing some shots. But I thought, you know, overall, both of them had their moments, but struggled overall as well. And then I thought Norman Powell, you know, was just trying to be himself. And the adjustment period for all three of these guys on their respective teams is going to take a bit of time. You know, it's It's a big thing to get thrown into a whirlwind mix. You know, when Norm played for the Raptors, they were struggling. Now he's playing for a Portland team that has expectations of making noise in the playoffs. Not that the mentality changes, but the play calling and the way plays are run, and you know the different spots he's going to get the ball, that becomes impacted. And Norm, you could see, had a bit of emotion in this game, and rightfully so. But he's going to be really good in Portland. He's going to help that team a lot, and he's really going to add some firepower wherever he's used, whether it's off the bench or starting. He's definitely going to have some impact.
You know, Randy, I'll point out something here with the Raptors. 2 new guys, and to Sherm's point, I thought Rodney Hood played well. I thought he did some veteran things. You could tell he had a comfort level playing against his former team. Some of the things he did, he took advantage of defensive issues, got to the basket. He was aggressive, knowing their tendencies on offense. I'll push up on this guy. I'll back off this guy. He did some really nice veteran things, but DeAndre Bembry, Paul Watson, and Kyle Lowry, 3 pieces that Nick Nurse has come to depend on or is looking to depend on, they were all out of the game. So here are the Raptors again, kind of fighting with one hand behind their back. And people will say, well, Jonesy, you're giving excuses. I'm not giving excuses. It's a reality. You're missing your leader in Kyle Lowry. You're missing 2 guys. When you trade people away, you're making decisions to play other guys, Paul Watson, DeAndre Bembry, and they weren't in the lineup. They weren't there able to help. And you're trying to get more from guys that are just learning the system. Like I said, I thought Hood was okay as an experienced vet, but Trent Jr., sometimes as a young player, your play is tied to your production. If shots aren't going in, you start forcing a little, you start squeezing a little, maybe things don't quite go your way. So again, look, if the Raptors could add up all these moral victories, they may have a couple more W's. But the NBA is an unforgiving league in that regard.
Leo, just in terms of performances you liked from the Raptors, what were some of the bright spots?
Well, I mean, I think that there was a good effort, right? I mean, OG did a really nice job in this game, and I thought, you know, his work in the offensive glass. You know, Chris Boucher struggled the last few games. I thought that he did a good job in this game. So, you know, you have some guys trying to step up, but I think Jonesy's point is really important. And people often do confuse, you know, reality with excuses. If you look at the Denver game, how important were Watson and Bembry in that Denver game? They played extremely well, right? They were a major factor in the Raptors' success. How important is Kyle Lowry to this team? Would you prefer to play Portland without Covington being in a lineup, without Damian Lillard being in a lineup, or CJ McCollum? Sure, I would. So, you know, that's what you're looking at. So, yeah, Raptors had some guys, but wow, Pascal Siakam had an outstanding game. But, you know, this is a very difficult league. You talk to coaches, winning is hard. And if you're undermanned, you're adding some players, you're missing some players. And already the Raptors are already at a size disadvantage playing against a team like Portland. So you kind of, you know, shot yourself in the foot a little bit with that third quarter. But when you look at this game in the overall context of what's going on, you had a chance to win. You put yourself in that position, have a chance to win. But it's very difficult under the circumstances.
The problem is now, Sherm, 10 games under, and, you know, the season's going fast. It is going fast. But I think when you look at the schedule, at least the next 4 for the Raptors, you know, Detroit, Oklahoma City, Golden State will be tough, Washington. There's some games that you have to get them at this point.
I know you're itching to say must-win games, or these are teams they should beat.
Yeah.
But as you know, in this league, it doesn't work like that. And you know, the Raptors do have opportunities over the next stretch of games that they have to take advantage of. I think this team has to get their confidence back, especially in the closing moments of the game. They understand that they can chase teams down. They understand that they give up certain leads during the course of the game. But this was a team that we're used to seeing closing the gap if they needed to at the end of the game and walking away with a W. That's not happening now. And they need to get confidence that they can be that team again. They're going to have a stretch of games where some teams that don't have the best record in the league. So those are potential opportunities for them to feel better about themselves and the way they're playing. Because I don't think they're that far away. Because even when they give up those quarters or those stretches where they can't score, for some reason, they find a way to get themselves back into the game late and get it down to 1, maybe 2 possession game at some point late in the fourth quarter. So they're not as far as it feels, but they've got to prove it to themselves over and over again and get consistent at winning those kind of games again.
It's interesting. You mentioned that, the confidence. Jonesy, are you seeing that a little bit? Look, they're coming off, 9 straight losses. And then some of the losses that they do have earlier in the year, not a part of that losing streak, were just, as Sherm says, late game execution, close ones down the stretch. We haven't been able to pull it out when they traditionally have been able to pull those games out.
I think Sherm's point about confidence is key, because when you're able to pull those games out, you feel good about the end of the game. In NBA vernacular, you've learned how to win. We know what to do to win these games. And in years past, when you had Green, Ibaka, Gasol, Leonard, Lowry going well, VanVleet going well, Siakam maybe not having to carry as much of the load, you win those games and you feel like, okay, we know what to do. We're going to win these games. And Randy, the flip side of the coin is also true. And this has come back to Sherm's point about confidence. Sure, there's some teams coming up. You look at it, hey, they could reel off 7 of the next 10, but those teams are looking at them the same way. And then when you do get into close games, we're going to finish this out, or, oh boy, let's not blow this. Are you playing to win or playing not to lose because of the confidence factor? And I think that's key. And to Sherm's point, you got to get one just to feel good. It's like my golf game. Just give me solid contact. I don't care if it goes into the bushes. Don't whiff on it, and for me, I'd like to see the Raptors just get one for their confidence and start to take a step from there.
All right, guys, got to stop you there. All we need to do is send Leo down, teach him a little thing or two about confidence, man. This guy's a walking confidence stick. I don't know what that means.
I'm old, man. I'm old. I don't know what that means either.
Yeah, that was a bit weird, Herb.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, we've definitely gotten weird. Yeah.
We're at that point in our relationship. I appreciate it. All right, next game for the Raptors tomorrow night against the Pistons, 8 p.m. Eastern. See you then.
Thanks for watching. You can click to watch our last episode or to subscribe to the Toronto Raptors YouTube channel so you don't miss an episode.